Alrighty then, hey guys, what's up? It's Scissored here, and welcome to what may well be becoming somewhat less of a common sight, me at the desk in my study. And to kind of explain why I want this to be less common of a sight, let me give you a little bit of a tour. How's that? So, here's the deal. This study is great, and when we moved in, I was very happy that I could fit my big dumb IKEA desk and my big dumb computer case and various other, equipment and accoutrement that I have. But I've kind of outgrown the ability of this study to house the amount of crafting and making that I want to do. So what I'm finally in long last doing is getting a workbench. So hopefully you'll be seeing fewer shots of me working on shit on the kitchen table or on the kitchen floor or on the kitchen bench where I'm just getting in the way of kitchen functionality. So hopefully we can contain the crafting to one area, but let's just have a little bit of a look around here. So I got the old tape measure out and measured up the room, and this is what I want the end result to look like. So we do have this sliding door, which is lovely and takes up less room than a regular door. However, it does prevent a desk from coming any further over on this wall. So this corner is going to be where the new workbench is going to be. Quick side note, I can't tell you how unbelievably frustrating it is trying to find a waist-high workbench being 6'2". Most workbenches that I can find here are only in the realm of a meter. I think I'm 185, so my waist height, my torso is a weird shape. My waist height is about 1.1. And that's sort of where I want it to sit. And all of these workbenches that I can find are only 90 centimeters high working space, which is not suitable. Like, the whole point of me doing this is to get a solution that is going to be better and more fit for purpose so that I'm not straining myself, bending over and taking up space and doing all of this other horse shit. So I'll be buying a workbench. I've actually already bought a workbench online. It's very exciting, but I'll probably need to modify that to be a little bit more accommodating for my stature. And then this desk is going to be moved over to this corner, which is currently taken up by the printer and a whole bunch of fucking debris. And obviously, looking at this side of the room is completely unacceptable. So yes, we're precipitating a great deal of change here. I'll be able to get all of this under control and put away in a manner that is going to allow me to work more easily. And then we've got, of course, the built-in wardrobe, which comes with a full-length mirror, which is nice. This is currently serving as storage space for all of my leather and fabric and sort of raw materials are stored up along the top because I need flat storage that's out of the sun. But putting all of that shit up there is really not very strategic use of the space. There's so much vertical storage space wasted, and I could be storing these stupid tubs that I'm using as a makeshift plinth for my printer. So, going to get a workbench that has a few storage layers underneath, or one extra layer to be precise, and then I'm going to see what I can do about a pegboard. A lot of stuff about this is still up in the air, and I thought to myself, hey, Grant, sort of redoing a room here, like that's content, that's free content, you should film all of this. And I thought, yes, Grant, that is a very handsome idea, I shall. Yeah, so currently all of the raw materials are stored up the top. This is various tools. These are mostly tools from my days as an electrician, so they don't actually get used basically at all. Then we start getting down more into my leatherworking / crafting gear. Then down here, I've tried to do a semi-decent job of organizing all of this shit, but this is basically dies, die caddy, rag in the back, all of the sort of woodworking stuff. And then all of these drawers are just full of tools and scraps and tools. So part of my aim with this is to get some of those tools out of drawers and put into a pegboard or put into tool holders or hanging off the edge of the bench or some manner of storage that doesn't involve drawers. Because I definitely subscribe to the school of thought of our Lord and Savior Adam Savage that drawers are where tools go to die. And I really do believe that any minor hindrance in accessing a tool or a process or a thing, it's giving you a free excuse not to do that thing. Any kind of friction applied to the process of doing something over time, especially if it's a repetitive process, you apply that friction every time, and that's going to make that task less pleasurable for you to do. And I mean, why the fuck am I doing all of this if I don't enjoy it? So that's my thinking there. I want to get all of the stuff that I use frequently out of those drawers and make the space work for me a little bit better. So I have ordered a bench. I haven't ordered a pegboard. I don't know if I'm going to need any sort of additional kind of storage stuff. We will see how this all pans out. But basically the next step here is going to be cleaning up all of this filth, disassembling my desk, and getting the space ready for the workbench to come in. So, in the words of Tim Allen, before construction comes destruction, I suppose. Well, it is one day since that last shot, and to my complete surprise, the workbench has actually arrived today. So that's good news that it got here so quickly. However, the bad news is that now I need to spend a lot of time and effort cleaning up this absolute pigsty, for which you will now be treated to a little time lapse once I figure out where I can mount the camera. I think I'm just going to put it up in the wardrobe so we can sort of get a little bit of a cinematic kind of thing going on here. So, quick update. First of all, as you can probably tell, my hay fever is going absolutely fucking ballistic, so I apologize for the congestion and the constant sniffling. So anyway, this workbench that I bought from Bunnings, as I was assembling it using a rubber mallet as per the instructions, and I do just want to take a second to point out that the rubber mallet that I was using is like a tiny little baby leatherworking rubber mallet. This thing doesn't weigh anything. But it was enough to completely dislodge this section. You can see that that's meant to be hammered in, and that's just flapping around in the breeze. So, that's regrettable. I've called Bunnings. For those of you not in Australia, that is the hardware store from which I purchased this stupid thing. And now I just need to wait for them to get back to me on how they can remedy this issue. So in the meantime, I'm going to be taking all of the rubbish that was sitting in this study and is now populating the hallway and blocking off ingress to other rooms in the house. And I'm just going to be moving all of that junk back in here while we wait to see what can be done about this inert metal lump behind me to turn it into something functional. And just like that, we have completed bench. So this is all very exciting. So yes, just for the record, Bunnings were extremely accommodating about the broken part. Someone came out and brought me a new one, and I can say that this literal welded steel has held up remarkably well to my plastic mallet, but this time it didn't fall apart, which is good. So now all that is left to do is bring all of the assorted clutter that was in the study back into the study, and then see how this works as a storage area, see how much I can tidy up the room here. So what we're currently up to is I have the workbench behind me assembled, and I've got some crap on it because in between wanting to work on the workbench, I decided to procrastinate that by doing some other shit. And in that time, the next few pieces have arrived. So the next thing to be attached to this workbench will be a pegboard, which is this is the beautiful pegboard that we will be attaching. So basically this is going to wind up on this wall. So the way that I'm planning to do that is basically to just somehow attach it to the back edge of the table and have a little bit of a standoff. So I might pack it with a few washers. At this stage, the plan is to make use of the structure of the bench. I'm just going to drill through some of the horizontal beams. And because the pegboard is, well, a pegboard, it's already full of holes. So all I need to do is use a few of the anchoring points that the pegboard has for being anchored onto something else. So currently the plan is to just use the holes or the mounts that are pre-made in the pegboard to be able to drill it into this bench. If that doesn't work, the backup plan is just to mount a couple of slabs of wood to the bottom of it and it will just stand freely. But I really do want them all to be one piece because that will make the whole thing a lot sturdier. So yes, that is where we are currently up to with the workbench and the pegboard and the storage solution. So in order to correctly mount all of that stuff, I'm going to need some hardware. And with current events being what current events are, if you're watching this in the future, 2020 just fucking sucked and we weren't allowed to go outside. please send help. I don't feel comfortable going to the hardware store, so what I'm going to do instead is go to my parents' place, who are close enough, and my dad is a mechanic, so basically I'm going to raid my dad's garage to get some of the fasteners and anchors and all that sort of stuff that I require. So hopefully I'll begin the next shot with something smart ass, like look at what I stole from my dad.
So using some of the stuff that I stole from my dad, I set about cutting up an armor stand that I'd made previously into pieces that I could use to extend the legs of the bench. Sadly, as you'll see forthcoming, I did my cuts in the wrong order on this mitre block, and I did wind up with one block of wood being slightly longer than the other three, and I addressed this issue by dutifully ignoring it.
So then, now that I have my 4 feet blocks cut out, the next step will be to connect these to the feet of the workbench, and then once the workbench is the correct height that I want it to be at, then we will be able to put the pegboard on. So at the moment, the way that I think that I'm going to attach these feet, so I can take these dumb little plastic feet off, slot the timber in here, leave 200 mil out the bottom of it, and then the bench should be about the height that I want it.
I initially tried to attach the wooden blocks to the legs of the workbench in situ, but it was nowhere near stable enough to do so. Sadly, this meant once more pulling the whole thing down and putting it back together. But the silver lining is that by this stage, I was very well practiced at that.
And there's probably a way better way to do this that I'm not seeing, so don't shout at me in the comments because I'm very fragile and I have feelings. That went pretty fucking well. If you can hear that rain on the roof, just think of it as production value. Pretend that this is meant to be a really moody and atmospheric workbench assembly. I don't know about you, but I reckon that looks a little bit, that's to me, that is looking just a little bit like a workbench frame. It isn't that an exciting thought. At elbow height, right where my arms bend, now I can work while I'm straight backed, which is just going to do wonders for my tush. Yes, this is it. Well, that is assembly complete. And this is real sweat. Just in case you were wondering, it is an enclosed room here. I wasn't expecting to get this warm. Moving stuff around manually. Who knew I'm a sweaty guy? I'm gonna blame it on all of this lighting that I've got set up now to make things look a little bit more profesh. But now comes the fun part, because in this little box of goodies, we have all of the tool holders and the little bench and all of that nonsense that's going to be able to go on the pegboard that will facilitate me being able to use this workbench a little bit better. So now I've saved myself a nice little treat right for the end. I get to open my present. I get to play with my new toys. I figure that that's a little bit better for seeing what's going to be actually going on to this. So let's get to the fun part and open this box up. Okay, I have not seen any of this in person. This all came from the website and I've never used this particular brand before, so I'm just kind of taking it on faith that it all goes together. I've got a nice little tray. I'm gonna put that maybe there. All of the tools that I use on basically any given project are the tools that I want to have ready to hand here. And because I bought all of these online, I couldn't really see the size of all of the various holding rings and such in the store before I bought them. So that's clearly the wrong size for that. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but I am turning into a very tired, sleepy boy. So I'm going to screw all of these scrivets in and then I'm going to do the outro. Alrighty then guys, thank you so much for joining me on this journey. This was one of undulating excitement and frustration, but it ended on an uptick. I'm very, very happy with how all of this is looking. I'm pretty thrilled to be able to use this to make my life easier when I'm making stuff, you know? And this was also stuff that I got to make. And then this video was another thing that I got to make. From having made stuff, it feeds itself, you know? It's a real Ouroboros. Ouroboros? The snake that eats its butt. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this. If you're new here, this isn't our usual fare. We are midway through a Witcher cosplay build. So if that seems like something that strikes your fancy, feel free to check that out. You guys, I really hope that you enjoyed watching me put all of this crap together and try to vaguely organize my life in a way that will make me feel like this quarantine has been one that is productive and not just in expanding my waistline. Bet you didn't see that joke coming. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I really hope that you enjoyed. Feel free to stick around and I will catch you guys next time.